The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera.
Sad news from the entertainment world. Hollywood icon Doris Day has died. Her Animal Rights Foundation made the announcement this morning. The legendary singer and actress is best known for wholesome 1960s movie roles. She received numerous awards, including a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2008. Doris Day was 97. Let's bring in film critic and host of Pop Life, Richard Crouse. So, Richard, let me ask you about Doris Day. I mean, obviously an incredible kind of body of work, but we just played that iconic song that first came to my mind, as it did for so many. What was it about Que Sera, Sera?
Well, did you know, and this is the thing that I was reminded of today, is that she made a ton of musicals, and I assumed that Que Sera, Sera came from one of those. It didn't. It came from an Alfred Hitchcock movie called The Man Who Knew Too Much. And that's just one of the kind of, I think, many surprising things about her career, is that you have someone who was a musical star first. She was a bit of a sensation on the radio, working with Bob Hope and people like that. She became a giant movie star in the 1950s and 60s, but the last film she made was in 1968. And from then on, she moved to television, and then from there into working very heavily with animal rights, and in fact, starting her own organization to look after the welfare of animals. And I think that, you know, you talk about the popularity of this one song. It's catchy. She has a voice that I think really resonates with people. She had a simple way of phrasing things that was simple, direct, but still very musical. And I think Que Sera, Sera and Sentimental Journey, another one of her giant hit songs, are great examples of this really nice kind of uncluttered approach that she brought to the way that she sang.
Yeah, and she was such a, I mean, and referred to many times as the girl next door.
That's right.
Because of a lot of her roles, and she starred alongside some of Hollywood's great leading men. Tell me about a few of those films for which she was in, you know, in the 50s and 60s.
Well, she starred alongside everyone. You know, from James Cagney to Jack Lemmon to Tony Randall and Rock Hudson. Between the three of them, they made some of her most famous films. But, you know, it's interesting to kind of think about how big a movie star she was in the early 1960s. The people that put together, or, you know, there's a group that puts together a list every year of the biggest movie stars in the world. They still do it, and it's all based on money. It's about theatrical distribution and that. And she was at the top of the female list for many years because people couldn't get enough of her. I think as the times changed, as we got into the later 60s, her style of wholesomeness fell out of favor a little bit. She remained a giant star, though, working with, as I say, in the late 60s with Rock Hudson, which led to, I think, one of the things that people will really remember about Doris Day was that many years later, after Rock Hudson was diagnosed with having AIDS, she was doing a talk show and had him on the talk show. And by doing that, she humanized a disease that was, up until that point, in the media portrayed as a death sentence. Don't touch anyone with AIDS. Don't be around them. You're going to get sick as well. And she showed that you could have compassion, that you could have empathy, that you can, you know, support your friends who may have become ill by having Rock Hudson on her show. And it was a massive step forward in terms of the understanding of that terrible disease.
And what went through your mind when you heard that she had passed away in terms of her career? What did you think of?
Well, you know, she really was a movie star more of my parents' generation, but that meant that I grew up with the music of Doris Day in my home.
Yeah.
And so you heard Que Sera, Sera and Sentimental Journey and those songs over and over again. And really, you know, for me, and as I think a lot of people, they are sort of part of the soundtrack of an earlier part of your life.
Wow, it sure is. It's what a legacy. And again, you know, a sad loss, of course. Richard, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Bev.